What's up, guys? This is Based on Cinema once again with another movie review, and we're sticking on with the horror. I'm Jacob,
I'm Nick.
and today we got When Evil Lurks, 2023. In a remote village,
Yes.
two brothers find a demon-infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. They decide to get rid of the body, only to end up unintentionally spreading chaos. Nick, any opening
So,
thoughts?
opening thoughts. What the fuck? How do you go from something so great starting off to one of the worst Super Mario Brothers adaptations I've ever seen live? What the fuck? I like no shade to the Hispanic community and culture, but what the fuck were y'all thinking at the end of that movie? Like, what the fuck was that? I'm disgraced.
I
I'm not
think
even like traditionally Hispanic, but I don't even want to be associated right now because of that movie.
I think like the third act was supposed to be like more metaphorical, but like the whole movie really carried its own for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing this movie. It was the first time because I had seen it once before, and then I rewatched it with Nick because he really wanted to watch it, and I told him about it, and we were like, "This is definitely a movie to review." And I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, I had my jaw drop so many times. It was the first time when I was exclaiming out loud while watching the movie, jaw dropping, like going, "Oh!" like throughout the entire movie. And of course, like Nick was saying, the third act just kind of fell short. Um, but man, what a movie with a disappointing ending. And it was really that third act that really kind of fell through. So let's kick it off with some actors and actresses. Nick, you got anything else?
Yeah, one thing just to add on to that. Um, it's very rare for Jacob to actively, audibly react to a movie live. Like after the fact, you'll hear him go talk about it and be like, "Oh shit, dude!" But like in the moment, for a movie to get an audible reaction from this man is very rare and very hard. So the fact that he said he was audibly reacting and then the third half just fucking went sank faster than the Titanic, you know there's something wrong.
Because it had so much going for it. And the one thing I did like about it is I liked it, but I didn't like it. It was the ambiance surrounding the entire story.
Mm,
It didn't give you a lot of answers. It gave you key points, like your typical horror movie do's and do nots, you know?
yeah,
But there wasn't much to the lore or really any sort of backstory that gives you plenty of meat on the bone to really dive into.
yeah,
And it was really straightforward, and I don't mind that. You get that in a lot of movies. I mean, Halloween is one of them. Like, you just have this
yeah.
dude who his doctor said he's the encapsulation of evil. He is evil. And then at the end of the movie, he gets shot 6 times and then gets up and walks away. There's nothing in that movie that tells you who this guy really is and why he is the way that he is. Why he was able to survive six, bullets, and like that's just one movie. That kind of example.
Yeah.
And you could have other movies, kind of like the Paranormal Activities, where as you watch, you get to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with Halloween in a sense, but it's not abnormal to have this sort of feel and this sort of theme.
Yeah.
But just the way the movie kind of ended, it would have been nice to have a little bit more, and it's a little disappointing.
I
Uh,
feel it's like that it's probably something like if you're like from that culture, from that background, from that area, you probably have more of knowledge of it from like family stories or ghost stories like over time, like you know the culture and history. And I feel like if you're going into that as a native of that or that background, you kind of have like the lore and all that stuff already in there. But for anybody coming in from an outside perspective, it's like Jacob said, it's kind of like one of those other horror movies where you're just kind of like, oh, okay, this is what it is. Let's roll. Let's go. Let's go.
that's true.
But it's not
It
bad.
what it was. It's basically a film from Argentina. Um, an international co-production of Argentina and the United States. So it did have some U.S. influence, but
Mm,
primarily from Argentina. But I mean, the actors and actresses, I'm sure we're not gonna really know too much about, just because, it's pretty unknown for us to be pretty affiliated in the West with, actors from Argentina. We have this whole semi backstory with these possessed called Rottens. And one thing that we're picking up throughout the movie is the fact that Rottens are a known thing in this culture. Throughout the film, people know about these kind of possessed people in this possessed way. It's common knowledge, it seems, in the culture, especially with some of the elderly. For example, one of the main characters' mother, who's in the film, she knows a bunch about these demonic beings and these types of possessions. So much so that she knows the damn song. She knows like a folk song, about this topic. And then you had the woman who the brother had a thing with romantically, and she was a hunter herself. It just seems like the younger generation really doesn't know much about this lore. And they're already saying like throughout the movie, like, oh, God is dead, the church is dead. So there's already like a level of unbelief that is existing, kind of like in modern day America, where as the unbelief begins and it kind of continues throughout lineage, you lose lore and you lose history. You lose the folklore, you lose the folk songs. That is one thing that carries on throughout human history is folklore, folk songs, stories passed from mouth to ear over and over and over again. And as even in the West, we see that happening right now. And it's evident in this movie, and I think that has something to do with a little bit of the metaphorical side, but there's kind of layers to this. Like I said, it's kind of ambiguous. So they're saying the church is dead and God is dead. But the thing is, like, the police won't handle the situation. The mayor won't handle the situation, but they send out a cleaner. And the cleaner, like, has all these tools, and, like, I don't know, it seems like it's some, like, alchemy or, like, Freemasonic stuff. Like, we have no idea what the stuff is in the briefcase. There's no, like, the tools that they have to use to kill the thing, we have no idea what it is. We have no idea what it does. Obviously, it kills the possessed, but, like, I don't know.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know how many damn movies we've had where there's like some sort of antichrist that is coming into the world to destroy.
This one was cool though, in the aspect that like when it does arrive, it does mark a person, and you see that mark that's always talked about in like the Revelations and the Bible and stuff, and like other movies. Like, oh, they'll have a mark on their hand or the forehead or something like that, right hand or some shit. There was actually a mark in this movie, which is kind of cool to see for the first time. I guess not maybe the first time, but like for me at least the first time seeing it in a film.
No, you see like the Omen.
Yeah, that's different.
How's it different?
Because it's not like in the traditional spots where it said it would be,
Yeah,
it's like in the back of the head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but the
And in
Omen
the book,
is kind
it's
of
like,
like
oh, in the forehead.
Areas. Yeah, right. In the hand or the head.
Yeah, and like the forehead it says.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it in the
So
forehead?
where was the mark on? Yeah, the head of the hand. Where was the mark on the rotten?
No, it when the Antichrist is born, it marks the guy in the forehead, and he can't wash it off. Like he shows him in the shower washing all the blood away, and then those 3 finger marks are still on his forehead.
I see. Okay. So they know there's a rotten, and people won't come, people won't leave due to the fear that it'll spread. But there's so many talks about just leaving all worthy and valuable things aside, leaving it behind, just leaving. It affects the animals and the dead, making them go crazy. And we see that with the goat, and then the one gentleman says his dogs ran away, and when the daughter eventually dies, his daughter, it's almost like she's kind of in this zombie mode, but like she's very clear. It's like she kind of was risen and then like just didn't have a soul and was corrupted by evil. It was almost like the corrupted flesh kind of like took a hold of her entire being.
Yeah.
But we have no idea. There's so much ambiguity. Like, it's like a virus. It reminds me of Wreck. Have you seen Wreck?
It just spreads. Yeah.
I love Wreck. Wreck 1 and Wreck 2. If you haven't seen those movies, go watch them. They're phenomenal found footage movies. They're also I forgot what country it's from, but it is in the Spanish language as well.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not familiar. I don't remember which what it was right now. I
right,
don't
but
recall.
it's okay. But we also obviously know it spreads like a virus, and obviously he shows up to his wife's house and he's going crazy. He just takes off all of his clothes, which is it's kind of like
What got me there is he walks in, he's like, I need clothes, I need a car, blah blah, and he's stripping down in front of like his ex wife slash girlfriend's new man,
yeah.
and then as his ex wife or girlfriend comes down with her new child or new daughter with this new guy, as the little girl turns her head to see what the fuck's happening in the room, this grown man sees them both and he's just like, oh, basically fully naked. He's just like, look upon me, child. Like fucking, he doesn't
Yeah,
say that, but he does that motion where it's just like, dude, if a kid
awkward.
was coming downstairs and saw
Like,
me, I'd be like, oh fuck,
yeah.
like don't look, shield your eyes.
It's always talked about in this movie. You got to stay away from shadows. You can only have natural lights like candles, no electric lights. And there's some shots where the shadows move, which is cool. Like
That
I
was
do
cool.
I do think there was a lot of visuals that were actually pretty cool. Even like the gore aspect of it. Like,
Pretty
don't take
sick.
this the wrong way, but it's kind of appealing. Like,
Yeah, it's like Saw, like Saw.
in a sense, but like this is very
Saw is
direct
like,
and paranormal. Like Saw is like a
yeah,
body horror. Like Saw is body horror. This kind of has body horror elements, but it's
yeah,
more
it
so
has
like
elements of it.
paranormal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the dog sniffs his clothes, and that's when we get the first hint that the dog could possibly go crazy. And lo and behold, it literally grabs the daughter by the head and drags her away. And when I saw that for the first time, that was when I like was like, oh, and I like my jaw dropped. And then what really got me, it wasn't just that. The camera pans to the son, and he's watching the entire thing happen. And to me, like, wow, eternal trauma. This kid needs therapy for like
Yeah, like,
years. You know what I
fucked
mean?
up.
Like he's gonna be messed up. And then you see
Put
the
him in the
dog.
car. Can we get some ice cream?
Yeah, like he was fine after that. Like he was, you know what I mean? Like
That's
it was kind of weird. Like he sees this happen to. Oh, you know what? No, you know why? Because the daughter
he's in
comes
shock.
back. Yeah, the daughter comes back alive, and he's like, oh, she's fine. You know?
She's fine. Trauma relieved.
Yep. Like yeah. But seeing him
Oh,
whipping
that
the girl around was like,
dude, that fucked me up too. Cause
yeah.
what like that was my first time seeing it. Jacob was kind of like, yeah, and I'm over here like watching the head get smacked against different chairs, a wall. I'm like, holy shit.
The only reason why I said that is because I one of the main reasons why I want to rewatch this with you is because I wanted to see your reactions.
That shit was wild.
I'm surprised you
I'm
didn't
still
really
thinking
know about that scene because that's like one of the most talked about scenes.
I've stayed away from spoilers for this movie specifically. Like I'm usually the spoiler one of the two of us. I'm the one who's like watching
Nick
all the
always
trailers,
delves into spoilers,
all
whether
the
it's
trailers,
unintentional or intentional.
all the clips, unintentionally seeing shit. Like I'm always seeing a lot of shit. Deadpool and Wolverine, for example, I'm bringing that in now. Got the Chris Evans cameo spoiled for me, but I didn't know who he was. I just knew he was in it. And I
Who
was
was
like,
he?
fuck. Johnny Storm. You saw it.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Hemsworth, but yeah, that was awesome. By the
Oh,
way,
he
seeing
was
him
in it
as
too.
Storm when he said "Flame On," I'm like, dude, yeah, that was
He's
so
like, he's
cool.
gonna say it. Adventures of Captain Flame On.
Yeah,
What the
that
fuck?
that was great. That was great.
Oh, that was so good.
There's a lot of great moments in that movie.
Um,
The
not even the
Calvarine was
Calvarine
exposed for
coulda
me.
saved.
That was exposed for me.
The Calvary was exposed
That
for
was the
you?
only thing that was exposed and spoiled for me.
Dude, that sucks.
It's okay. Like, cause I loved it when I saw it. I'm like, well, I'm happy.
Yeah.
It was fine.
But dude,
Like,
imagine
because like I
seeing
don't
that,
care
like,
about like the Marvel universe like that. You know.
yeah. But back to when Evil Lurks, not even the Calvarine could have saved this movie, dude. At the end, not even the Calvarine could have saved this movie. Could have had fucking him back in the suit. I would have been like, nope.
So we do have a kind of a wreck thing going on where it is a virus, but it's also like an evil virus that possesses the person with a spirit in a sense.
Like what's that movie you quoted the other day? With the connect the cuts or something
Oh,
like
The
that.
Devil Inside.
Or Devil Inside. How that it's multiple possessions happening throughout the film, and it's
Right.
just hopping. It's kind of like that,
Yeah.
except more body gore, body horror.
Yeah. Plus, like it's a literal virus like Wreck,
Yeah.
and in Wreck you kind of find out that it was man-made in a sense, and he's trying to figure out how to contain it. Man, that Contagion sucked. Contagion was horrible in comparison. What a horrible American remake that was. I was
You mean
bored.
wait? You mean Quarantine?
Quarantine. Yeah, I'm sorry. Quarantine. Yep.
The first Quarantine wasn't horrible,
It
but
was
it was
ass.
bad.
It was bad.
It was bad.
It was actually really bad.
The sequel's worse.
Because they changed so much of the lore of Rec, and the
Yeah.
whole point of why Rec was so good was the lore and how interested it made you feel into the story.
Yeah.
Because things keep unfolding, and in Rec you see so many things happening, and it transcends the events and becomes something else entirely. And the second movie goes into that even deeper, and it's so interesting. It's so interesting. I love this.
Don't watch the sequels of Quarantine then.
Yeah, no, I'm
The
not
low
going
budget.
to. I
Low budget
wanted to
plane.
watch Quarantine just to see, because like I'm watching the Ringu movies. I'm watching all the Japanese Ring movies.
All the
You know,
originals.
Yeah. I watched the first two, and now I'm going to be watching the prequel to them. I'm pretty excited for that.
Dude, the Ring movies and the fucking Grudge movies from there, they interlap and they have like a battle with
Yes.
Godzilla and
I'm like ending with that one.
yeah.
There's so many movies, and I'm gonna watch all of them because I've been wanting to. Like this is like stuff from my childhood that I remember being talked about, but I never like. You always saw The Grudge, you always saw The Ring, but I never saw it. It was just culture.
You never
it was
watched
just, it was just in the culture,
It's that thing that you're like,
Yeah, but it
fuck
was
is
like
that?
as a horror guy, it was like, oh, that's cool. But the thing is,
Yeah.
the image by itself is so iconic.
iconic.
It's almost like you get it without even having to see the movie.
It's like the poster from The Exorcist. You don't know it, but you know it.
Right.
If you've never seen it, you see that poster, you're like, that's that demon bitch.
Yeah. Exactly. Plus the maze game. Remember the maze game? When you
Fuck the maze
the
game.
pop up that was Reagan.
I got you with that.
No, the one
Didn't
you
I?
got the one you got me with was that
car.
the car commercial. Yeah, it wasn't a car commercial, but it was the car in the mountains. That was yeah.
I felt so bad after that.
No, I gotta show that to my kids so they get some thick skin.
Be like, hey, no,
I watch the car. Watch the car. Don't you see the make and the model?
Wait, what model is
What
that?
color is it? So in the movie, the dad goes back to his town where he used to live in, and everybody knows each other. It's a smaller town, but like in general, everybody knows each other. Perhaps they're in like the city council, or I don't know, but everybody knows each other. And eventually there's a what's it called, a protocol that happens when it's revealed that this thing is out there, and they have a literal city protocol that follows once it's known to them that this is a demonic situation with these rottens, and they turn off all the electricity in the town.
Yeah.
And there's a literal protocol, so we know that this is a known thing in the culture for sure.
Felt like an Avengers movie when they started saying, "Oh, the city has activated the protocols." I'm like, get the fuck out.
So the daughter was great.
Wakanda.
The
They
daughter
put the
was,
shield
yeah,
up.
yeah. The daughter was great. Her acting was great. She was adorably evil, and the son was
daughter?
okay. Yeah. The one who got her head whipped around and she came back.
Oh yeah, she was
And
cool.
She was
Yeah, I
like,
guess.
like, mommy's gonna kill you, and she was like,
Yeah, I mean,
she was
no,
cute. She's
she's okay.
cute.
Okay. For me, at least, I was just like, okay, move on.
Yeah, it was just cute. I like when you have kids who act really cute when they're actually evil, and it gets you. So the disabled son, once they get out of that town and his ex-wife dies and the husband dies, the disabled son is mumbling over and over, possessed, and this is a scene where the mother is basically telling them the lore about what's going on. And they say that you can't see the evil in my name. And the mom, the grandmother, she starts just naming demons and the devil.
Straight up starts saying their names.
And
like, oh yeah, these are.
Yeah. The average person would be like, well, you're literally saying the names. What's wrong with you? But like, you know, in the, as a Christian, you're not supposed to fear anything but God. So like saying names, like Zozo, I'll just say Zozo because like I'm protected by Jesus Christ. It doesn't matter. I'm not afraid. And the mom literally says, I think, no, it's the woman that the brother had the affair with, that it only really gets the people who are afraid of dying.
Yeah.
Afraid of death.
Or afraid of like in anything in general, yeah. Because he's like, oh, you're afraid of your kids. That's why it came after you. Afraid of losing your kids. That's why it came after you. Me, I don't fear anything, so that's why it's left me alone.
Yeah, I don't fear dying. And that's the thing. It's like if you have the fear of God and nothing else, and you believe in Him, then you'll be protected. And
She was giving off like Blade vibes.
Blade vibes, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So then the son even starts saying Azrael, which is one of the demon's names. And if you say the name of the demon, and here's the thing, right? If you say the name of the demon, it actually makes it more interesting and stronger. But that's like the reverse of what you've seen in paranormal movies in the U.S.
Yeah, if you see it, it takes away its power.
If you say it takes away its power, it makes it more vulnerable. And it's like, oh, you know who I am. It's like,
Now I can send you back to hell. Haha.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting how that is. I'm actually kind of curious to like why that was. I guess it's kind of the thing with like skinwalkers. It's like if you say skinwalkers, it makes them come closer, and if you say certain things names, it gains attraction. I think if you're just perhaps if like you're not a believer, and you have a fear towards evil like that, then perhaps it makes more sense like that.
Sense. Yeah.
You see a lot of sun imagery.
There is a lot of sun imagery.
So one of the kids, I forgot which one it was, but made that drawing of the sun and the kids walking towards the sun. It's kind of resembling Lucifer, the light bearer, and him being, this light, this sun. And that's kind of what I got from it. I know there's some other occultic sun imagery and symbolism. For example, there's like a bunch of gas stations that actually have like sun imagery, and we all know that the petro business is kind of associated with the Freemasons and the occult. That sounds really kind of bizarre hearing that with no context, but I promise you there's some stuff there. Even I think Exxon has the 2-bar cross, which is occultic by nature as well. You have certain things like that are like kind of occultic, but also kind of Christian. But you see that in a lot of things because evil bastardizes good and holy. And a lot of evil symbolism comes from holy symbolism. Like the all-seeing eye, the eye of providence, it all comes from the eye of God that oversees all. That's just one example.
I remember seeing like some artwork in churches, like God's eye looking over.
Yep.
And then like I started hearing about like the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill and all that stuff like that down that rabbit hole. So it's kind of like, oh, okay.
The devil is the greatest deceiver.
So
he takes good things, makes them evil, and corrupts them, and bastardizes them. So the mother, I believe it was either the mother, the grandmother, or the other woman who the brother had the affair with. She was saying that
the witch hunter, the hunter lady.
Yeah, she was saying that the disabled son has been possessed.
Him. Yeah.
And
the
demon can't figure out the son's mind because of his disability. But you see it in his hands. His hands are all crumpled up. And she has seen that in other cases of possession before, and how with disabled people, it acts in their body first until it tries to figure out the mind. And eventually you obviously see the son get out of the car, and he goes to his grandmother, and he's like, can you have anything to eat? And he's like completely normal.
Yeah.
Completely normal.
He's not making noises, not banging his head.
Yep. And around that same,
like, feed me.
And around the same setting, you have the mother. She comes back, goes upstairs, grabs the son, the younger son, and jumps off the balcony with him.
That bitch came back, picked up the baby, distracted the grandmother. Grandmother's like, I thought I saw something. Dad
jumps
goes
off
up
the
like,
ledge.
What the fuck? He's like, no.
The film just continuously gives you certain things to be like, damn,
Not never ending.
So
it
Go
just
ahead.
like it's like the best parts to talk about are the first, second half. The third half is just like it's such a letdown that even discussing it makes me sad.
We have to talk through
Um,
the pain and the suffering.
it's like the very end, like everything from the second half to the very last like fucking what 5-10 minutes of it are good. Are bad. Everything between that is bad, horrible. Cut that all out. Like you're good. It could have been a shorter movie. We should have been a shorter movie. Third act shouldn't even have been a thing. Get rid of the witch lady, hunter lady. She played no real part, no use at all.
Except
She's just
context.
there.
She just provided
She was
context.
exposition. She was exposition. That's all she was.
Right.
Just exposition. Just get rid of her.
They
Don't need
did.
her.
They did get rid of
Like
her.
took too long. Took too fucking long. She's over here walking around like Blade.
Yeah,
Shut up with your fucking telescope.
she talks about how these monks, called the Cobras, are the ones who essentially send out the hunters. So it's weird because you have like, oh, the church is dead, God is dead, but there's these monks
Yeah.
called the Cobras, which is interesting because cobras and snakes have a evil insinuation placed upon them, biblically at least.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We know that there's these monks, but we have no other sort of information to give us any sort of context with who these monks are, and even if they're Christians.
It's like, oh, they exist. They've somehow killed demons, and they use these fucking
Instruments.
magic looking instruments to do it. And that's it. That's all we're given. They
I
said,
mean,
here's some sticks, go fucking play outside.
what the interesting thing about that is you have the Crusaders, and you
Hmm.
had the Crusades, and then you had the Knights Templar, and the Knights Templar are essentially Freemasons who are Christians.
Yeah.
So perhaps these monks kind of have that kind of background,
Hmm.
but
They're not the bad guys of the story this
yeah,
time.
this time at least.
This time.
So the monks taught them. She hunted them for 12 years. This lady, there was a previous outbreak in her church where she was essentially faking everything that was happening in the church, and this possessed person comes in who she thought it was an actor, and it wasn't an actor. It threw up over everybody and threw up his family, who he ate the previous day. That's what turned her into a literal hunter. Her faith was born in a sense, but her faith in the
Forever
church, and
changed.
like that's the thing. It's stupid because she becomes a demon hunter of these possessed, but she doesn't. But her faith in God and the church is dead.
Yeah, that fucked me up too. I was like, wait, hold up. What are you saying? What did you say?
So it doesn't make too much sense. So here's where it gets interesting, and this is where we're kind of getting to the third act of the movie.
Hmm.
So she says, "Evil likes children, and children like evil."
That part fucked me up too. I didn't.
So this is what I got, and I wrote it down. Evil because they want to corrupt the innocence of children against God, and children because evil knows how to attract the children. We all
Yeah.
have the inner child in us, and the corrupted side of that child wants to rebel. So the children, in a
Hmm.
sense, unknowingly rebel against their good nature towards evil, just like adults in real life doing the same
Yeah.
and ultimately rebelling against God. So I kind of saw that as like a bunch of layers rolled up into one ball.
Hmm.
Children have a tendency to rebel, and their parents keep them in check, and evil likes children because they mark the innocence of what we're supposed to be as humans, and it wants to attract them because they want to corrupt. Because like everything that demons do and the devil does, it's all to mock God and to show him like, look at your precious humans, look at what they're doing, look how I corrupt them, look at what I'm doing to them. It's all in a bashful way to
Yeah.
put it back in God's face. Like this is what you praise, this is what you created. You put these people over us, these angels who used to be the fallen angels. You put these beings above us, and that's where the envy comes in. Because a lot of people say like, oh, pride is what made the devil fall, but in reality, it was like envy. Like the devil was jealous because of God's love, but
Yeah.
also he wanted to be worshipped like God. So it's kind of
Mm.
like a combo between envy and pride.
Yeah.
So I feel like the evil like children and children like evil is kind of like, I guess it's just very layered. That's the way that I saw it. Very layered, and even like I said, us humans have an kind of a childhood essence within us. We have a child. We, you know, a lot of saints say like be like a child. Be childlike, and that's because that's the sense of purity within us. And
Yeah.
even going a little broader, evil likes to take the good inside of us, the purity, and throw that out the window as well.
True. It's
Yeah,
a
and I
corrupt.
guess that kind of has something to do with like the evil in the school and like the gathering of children making them evil. There's not much to go off of there.
That whole, like I've been saying, that whole part, the kids are evil, they're possessed, and just fucking
In
took
the
me out
sense
of the
that are
movie
possessed, but
so
like yeah, it's like they
because
have this.
they had the thing going on that, like the son had with the joints and like the feet and stuff like that,
Oh
where it was
yeah,
like all fucked up looking,
okay,
not like moved around or like not deformed, but like you could see like there was something wrong with them. But it just sucked because like fuck, dude, it was so bad.
yeah,
Um,
disappointing.
it just like give us something like I don't care if you don't show us what you're fucking afraid of. Give us shadows with like white little dots inside of it looking at you from like across the room. You don't need to show us what to be afraid of. You got a room full of kids and one of the kids like the only thing I liked about the third part, the witch lady hunter got killed and there's this little girl this little girl, and her only role was just to beat the fuck out of her with the hammer every couple seconds. She'd be like, bam. It was just that as they dragged her out of the room. It was just,
Yeah,
I
it's
was
like
like, yeah.
were they possessed or were they corrupted? It's kind of weird.
I think it's the same thing in that like in this kind of a world in this world. I think it's the same thing. Corrupted and possessed is the same thing. Um, because they had like the weird. They were puking up shit. They were had the weird eyes going on. So in my point of view, the kids were possessed, and it just, dude, it was so fucking bad.
Yeah.
The only good, like I said, only saving grace, the ending. They get home, they realize they failed, humanity's fucked. He's like, let me just give my kids some ice cream.
I
Last
promised
good
them
thing
this
I
ice
can do.
cream for the entire movie.
Last good thing I can do. Gives him the ice cream. Kid is, kid's special. So he shoves the whole fucking thing in his mouth, starts choking. Dad's like, oh shit. Slow down. Tries to take it out, and he thinks he's choking on it, so even after he's taking it out, so he starts reaching his fingers in to like fucking, throw up, son. Nope. What he starts pulling out his mother's hair, the grandma's hair, and her jewelry, and that's when he's
The
like, oh
crucifix.
my god. I thought it was like a picture of kids, like a thing of kids.
I read that it was a crucifix. I could be wrong though. That's what I read, and I missed
Cause
it.
like when I
So
when I looked at it, it was like a small little family, but in gold.
okay.
I don't know, maybe I saw it wrong, but that's what it looked like from what I saw. It could be a crucifix. He pulled that out, and then after he realizes, he walks outside, kneels on the ground, screams, and starts crying. His brother had just found out by visiting the out shed house thing that the kid who was the brother of the original infected possessed person had killed the cleaner or the other hunter,
Yep. Yep.
cut him up, ate his fucking body as well,
Fed it to the pigs.
and fed it to Vix himself. He did all that, and then we don't know what happens with him and the brother. We don't hear anything. We just know the brother walks back to the house, sees his brother, the one who just pulled out some chunks of his grandmother, and they look at each other and they're just like, Movie ends there. It's like, what happened to the kid in the shed outside? What happened
Yeah,
to the
I
son?
think they know that like it's all done and over with. That the Antichrist figure was born, and it was a literal and it was a literal bad ending in the story, as well as with the movie.
That's a literal bad ending
So
for the movie
IMDb
itself.
gives us the 7 rules for dealing with the rotted, and the possessed. Roughly, they are: 1. Do not use electric lights. The shadows they cast can draw them in. 2. Stay away from animals. 3. Do not harm. Do them no harm. 4. Take nothing close to them. They're attached to it, so the attachment of the items, it's kind of like in with monks, in Christianity, they don't have any like prized possession. They just
Yeah, they're
live.
not allowed to bring anything with them when they go.
Never
Is that
say
it? They're not allowed
never say the
to bring
devil's.
anything?
I think it's just like materialistic items that they see worth in, and it's really just to find worth in
Mm,
life and in God alone.
okay.
5. Never say the devil's name or the evil's name. And 6. Never use a gun. You'll die yourself. And 7. Do not fear death.
Oh, to add on to that, we see that those rules broken many times in this film
Many
by
times.
people who are told not to break those rules because worse things will happen, and they continue to do it. There was not one time, except for the brothers who knew the rules, who didn't break them. But aside from that, anybody else who was told it was they broke the rule every single time, no matter how many times they were told not to. And
There's a little bit of
it was
metaphorical parts to that, though. A little bit.
frustrating. It's frustrating. I'm just like, just don't. Just don't. The wife of the ex-girlfriend wife, I'm glad she got killed. She was so annoying. She turned the literal and like an emergency situation into about herself as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you see me happy, you're trying to ruin my life. Does this guy look like he's trying to ruin your life by stripping down in the middle of your kitchen, claiming like there's a disastrous event about to happen?
I mean, obviously, she's being very illogical, and she was in denial about the situation and just thought he was crazy. I mean,
It's
the guy
fucking
didn't support the family, didn't give him any money, just kind of up and left, and was kind of unstable to begin with.
yeah,
So, like, plus she
yeah,
was being irrational. Surprise, surprise.
yeah.
And, yeah, you see that a lot. And one of the reasons for this is because I saw this review on Reddit. The overreaching theme is that humans are slaves to their nature. Even with presented with evidence and truth necessary for survival, humans will still follow their instinct and faulty belief systems.
Mm.
This means that humans are fated to fail in most spectacular ways. We act irrationally, and we let evil and such in through our rash mistakes.
Mm.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
That's valid.
So you
That's a
have
solid one.
these knowledgeable people, the mom and the mom slash grandma and the woman that the brother had the affair with, and they're
Yeah,
literally telling them all these things. They're giving them the truth on the situation, even though they're wrong about certain things, like the church is dead, God is dead. But they give them
yeah,
the tools of survival, and they instead act on their natural, quote unquote, natural instincts, their human fallen nature, and do what their
yeah.
passions tell them to do.
Mm-hmm.
They use guns. The dad at the end goes and tries to find the axe, even though the woman's like, "Don't go for the axe; it's a trick." I mean, even in The Exorcist, what does Baron say to Damien? Don't listen to it. It's just
Yeah.
trying to manipulate you. It's the same sort of thing.
And then
They're
he
great.
goes
They're the
and
greatest
starts
deceivers.
fighting it.
Right.
Yeah. He dies.
Well, yeah. Well, that was that. Well, the whole thing in The Exorcist with Damien, like saying
Come
"going
into
to me" and
me.
jumping on the window, it's resemblance. It has a resemblance to the story of the Bible of the demons going into the swine and the swine jumping off the cliff and dying.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the demons like saw Jesus and like, well, just let us go into the swine. All right, we don't want any part of you. Let me just leave the guy, and I'll go into the pigs.
Yeah.
So the demon goes. Jesus is like, all right, the demons go into the pigs. The pigs kill themselves, and lets the demon free. And
Mm.
in The Exorcist, it's pretty similar because he takes the demon goes into him, he jumps out the window, and falls to his death, just like the pigs.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
then you get into extras. Three. Okay,
yeah, three, not two, three.
three. Skip two.
Skip. So I think this encapsulation of the overall message is very spot on. I really do think it's very spot on. Because that's what we see. Because you have all these horror movies, and a lot of them have this overbearing theme. Because you see in horror movies like, oh, why are you going upstairs? Go out the front or back door. Why are you going
Yeah.
upstairs? Why are you doing this when you know this is literally what you're not supposed to do? It's just
Yeah.
humans enacting through their passions, acting through their passions, doing what they want to do, and acting off of instinct instead of trusting truth and facts and God.
Yeah.
A couple other things. The ending has parallels to the biblical story of Cain and Abel, with Pedro smashing Uriel's head and Pedro being doomed to walk the earth with the mark on his forehead.
Oh shit. Okay. But Uriel wasn't.
Uriel was the possessed man. He was the
Yeah.
infected. The
Yeah. Yeah.
what do they call it? The
So
rotten. He was the rotten.
the rotten.
So he kills Uriel, even though he's not supposed to, because they tell him, don't kill him. You're not supposed to kill him
Yeah.
this way. He does it. Uriel dies, the rotten, and then he goes on to live his life on Earth with, his consequences. With a mark.
Yeah.
Just like Cain. Any Supernatural fans out there?
Mark
Last
King.
Yep, last one, the possessed Jer, which is the disabled son.
Yeah.
He drapes a lambskin rug over himself before cannibalizing his grandmother, indicating that
Holy shit.
he is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Dude, that's why. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. That's
I like
very
that.
biblical as well.
Break it down. Break it down. Let's see some good shit.
Yep.
In the moment, it's just. Fuck, dude.
All right, so now's the time of the podcast / movie review when we get into our ratings on Letterboxd and on our tier list. If you don't know this already, we are big Letterboxd guys, and we go through these movies with Letterboxd ratings. So, Nick, actually,
You go first.
I'll give you mine first. So, I really wanted to rate this higher, but due to the third act and not a lot of meat on the bone, I actually gave this a 3.5, and I was debating about giving it a heart and liking it because of just the moments that made my jaw drop.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't, based off of how just disappointing it got and how they had so much to go off of. Like Rec did a perfect job. Rec did a perfect job in this, and this did not. And I had to give it at least a 3.5 because it gave you stuff that was different. It was very different. I mean, even the rotten and the his imagery and his physical body, and it made you disgusted with the amount of corruption that his body was going through. There was a lot of, I guess you can call eye candy in terms of things that you look at and you're like, holy crap! Like the mom walking down the street, eating her son's brains. That was something else.
That was crazy. Yeah.
That was something else.
There's a lot of shock moments, shock value.
Body horror.
Yeah.
Not a body horror. So I had to give it a 3.5.
I'm gonna say for me, it's gonna be like a 2.
Wow.
I gotta do a 2. I can't go 3, and I can't go 2.5. Can't go 3. I don't even want to do 1.5, because I feel like 1.5 just wouldn't be fair to all that, the great acting that was in it. But just in terms of VFX, cinematography choices, story choices, and just I guess I didn't really have expectations going into this, but I've heard a lot of praise for it. So
You gotta be careful with that.
I'm just oh dude, it's one of the scariest films of the year. I don't have any expectations of what I'm gonna be walked into. I'm just okay, it's gonna be a good film. That's it. A good film. And it was that for 2 halves,
2 acts.
2 acts, and that's it.
You gotta be careful with that. I
But the
mean,
thing
what?
of it is like the third act alone just ruins the whole movie itself, which is really scary. Like for any movie, you could have a whole movie that's fucking flawless. You have that one act that just fucks it up, and it's downer, downer.
I get
So
that.
I'll give it 2 star. I'll give it. I said 2 stars, yeah, right? 2 stars for the acting. The first two acts. Um, some of the creative choices that were made that were actually interesting and like not the typical for your standard horror movie, whether it's supernatural or anything like that. Um, 1 star for acting, creative choices, directing, cinematography. Second star is for just out of the box thinking with different ways of killing people
Shock value.
or shock value. Yeah, like body horror. But the reason it doesn't have all the O stars is just
Fall short.
similar to like the first star is just certain choices that were made, just everything I listed before just fell apart. It fell apart so fast because it from what I remember, it's like within like it's an hour and what 56 minutes
40.
or something like that. Hour and 46 minutes. So after the first hour, you're fucked.
Hour and 39 minutes.
After the first hour, you're fucked. The last 30 to 40 minutes, except for like the very last like maybe 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It's very rare for
Between
me and
that.
Nick to have like a big difference on ratings. Like sometimes we'll give something a 4 and I'll give it like a 3. This is a big jump.
Yeah.
And I think it was for me. It did so many things that wasn't already seen in cinema, and I think that's what really got me. And for, like Nick said, for me to be literally exclaiming and my jaw literally dropping, it's rare for me at least because I you know
It is.
you watch so many horror movies, you get desensitized.
It's true.
Yeah, so we have a tier list here at BSL Cinema for horror and standard films. I'll say lowest tier is Salt and Burn It. Next is Straight to the Grave. Next is So Bad It's Good. Next is Put It on a Shirt. Next is Scarred for Life. Next is Therapy Required. Nick, do you have an idea where you want to put this?
I do, but I'm gonna let you go first.
You go, because I'm thinking.
You're thinking about it? Okay.
Yeah.
Put this right here. All right. So I'm gonna go with most likely Salt and Burn or Straight to the Grave. I'm torn between the two. I'm probably Straight to the Grave. I'll be a little generous. Straight to the Grave.
I want to say Put It on a Shirt, but I think I'm going to have to give it a So Bad It's Good.
Way.
Because there's moments in it that make you like want to rewatch scenes, but never watch the movie again. So maybe
I
it is
don't think I
Straight to the
could ever
Grave.
watch it
So
again.
maybe it is
I
Straight
could
to the
never.
Grave.
Yeah, like it's just rewatchability isn't there for me personally. Like I was a good for one time ride. Not even. Like, dude, that it's just fuck, dude. I don't know how many times I gotta say it, but the third act just completely takes me out of everything they work so hard to put me into, you know?
Yeah.
It really like what's a good comparison? It's like if Empire had Luke kill Vader,
And Empire.
like in Empire, instead of like losing his hand, he kills Vader and he becomes like in like Legends how he becomes like the new like, he has his kids and they turn dark side and shit like that. Like that would have been cool. Like, but if he killed Vader
One
and
turn dark side.
one turned dark side, the other one was Jedi. But if like they did some shit like that in Empire, I would have
Yeah.
like, or if they went like this, if they said if like fucking Vader's like, oh Luke, I am your father, and Luke's just like, oh I know father, dude,
Right.
would have ruined it.
Oh, I had a feeling.
I sensed it within you. Like, no, fuck you.
So do
You
you
did some
have
shit.
what's your most rewatchable scene in this movie?
Most rewatchable scene?
For me, it's the dog.
Oh, the credits.
Not even the dog scene.
Not even the dog scene. Because you got that his
If
ex-wife
somebody said
screaming
to
the
you,
whole time.
"Give me one," no, I mean no, because you're so distracted. For me, I was just so distracted by what was happening. It didn't matter.
What about somebody?
Hmm.
What do you say about somebody?
I said it doesn't even matter what was going on around the scene. It was the scene itself with the dog that just grabbed my attention the entire time. I was so in bizarre mode with what was happening with this dog that like nothing else mattered. And the son seeing the dog, the son seeing the dog tear up his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, rewatchability. Maybe the scene where the brother sees the ex-wife walking with the kid's body and eating his
mm,
fucking brains. Maybe that, because that was cool. But then like it gets ruined when he just fucking rams her with the car.
yeah. Best shot.
The axe scene with the woman and her husband, Ruiz's
Yeah,
wife. Best shot was when she just the poster shot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Best shot for me was the dog whipping the girl around. This still gets me. Dude,
it's
think
crazy.
about it. You have this big, strong dog whipping around a little girl by the head. Like,
No, it's
I
crazy.
couldn't imagine that. Do you have a favorite scene?
Favorite scene?
Mine's gonna be the same answer, but
The axe scene.
yeah, okay. Because
Yeah, she
that
takes
like
him
kicks
out.
it all off. That kicks it all off.
And that's the only good parts of the movie. She's like, don't do it, you'll damn us all, you'll condemn us all. He's like, shut up, bitch. Boom. And then she's like, nope.
Yep.
And then she's like, I can't live like this. My child's gonna be damned. Dude, that's the scene. I feel like that could have been its own movie in itself. That whole Ruiz, like if we didn't know about the brothers and you only knew about the possessed Ruiz and his wife, that alone could have been a great short film.
Mm.
And it ended there. Like right after she killed herself, she's pregnant, mind you.
Yeah.
That kid's dead.
Mm-hmm.
It ends there. That would have been great. Like I think obviously you don't want anybody to die who's pregnant, but like that would have been a great short film because it would leave you in shock like holy.
Yeah.
Like that would have been enough for me. I would have happily walked out of a theater, paid like $40 for that, been like sick. Let's go. Argentina.
There's not really much
But
else I gotta say about this.
it's just oh man. It's not good. Jimmy. Fucking Jimmy Neutron.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. Let us know if you where you would put it on our tier list and how many stars you give it.
Please.
Yeah, because this is an interesting one, and I'm sure there's a lot of point of views that are going to vary from others. It's gonna be
There's gonna be a lot of drastic takes, hot
yeah,
takes.
because this set is 3.5 on Letterboxd, which I'm surprised about.
That is surprising. That is very surprising.
It got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Get the fuck out.
Yep.
Wait, what about Metacritic?
Let me look it up.
Metacritic. I want to know the Metacritic score. That'll blow me away.
Metacritic score. $75.
Get the fuck out. Is that a wait? Is that like a B or?
I mean,
I think
that's
it's
like
B.
if you're gonna do it in school terms, that's a C.
Does it C? Okay, that's I can understand a C. I can
Wow.
understand a C.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
Guess that's tomato meter.
80,
Nope.
70,
Nope. Higher.
90,
Higher.
100.
No, no.
Oh, 95,
Higher.
99,
Nope. Lower.
98.
96.
What the fuck?
And the audience score was a 78.
Get out.
Which I get. I don't like Rotten
What?
Tomatoes. I don't like Rotten Tomatoes, but
They
I,
they if you stand by Rotten Tomatoes, you're not doing yourself a justice because they're bought out. All their critics are bought out. Their reviews are bought out. If somebody in that company does not like your film, it's gonna get poorly reviewed. If somebody does like it in that company, then they'll give it a high ass rating. Because Thor: Love and Thunder was shit, got a higher rating than most of Snyder's films, and Snyder, like, I'm not gonna like fucking shine his, but he does put some work in on his films that you have to give credit for. They're not
A lot of credit.
Scorsese or they're not Scorsese or like anything like that, but they're well made. And Rotten Tomatoes specifically, I've seen them come at him in like crazy ass ways. And meanwhile, they'll shit all over films that are actually like they'll praise films that are actually really really bad. So,
Right. So not a Rotten Tomatoes guy, never was. But
mm-mm.
that's really it for When Evil Lurks. Let us know what you think in the comments below. What do you rate it? How many stars do you give it? Where do you put it on our tier list? And any comments about our tier list would be great. But this has been Based on Cinema, When Evil Lurks 2023. I'm Jacob.
Next one's gonna be better. Not Evil Lurks. Next film is gonna be better. I'm Nick. Next
And
review.
we'll catch you on the next one.